I'll wait to see if anybody jumps on, but if nobody jumps on, we're just going to get right into it. This is a important topic that I feel like needs to be had, and I feel like it needs to be had often. I don't think we discuss, well, let me retract. We discuss it, but I don't think we necessarily discuss it from a different point of view. A lot of times we're talking, when we're discussing suicide, we're discussing suicide prevention. And we don't talk about the effects of suicide, meaning what suicide, what the effects of suicide does to the family of the individual who commits suicide, what it does to the friends of those, goodness gracious, what it does to the friends of the person who commits suicide, for the first responders, like the people that find the person who, like, there's a lot of different aspects of how suicide can affect different people, and how depression affects different people. And this obviously has been something that's been near and dear to me for a while. Number one, because I deal with depression myself, due to exposure to combat while deployed, also from other issues in life, through trauma as well, in my childhood years and teen years, and even since I've been in. So been exposed to a lot of different traumas, a lot of different things that have caused me to deal with depression. And no matter, what's going on in my life or how great things are, it always comes back. It's not one of those things that you can just wave a magic wand and it's gone. That's not how it works. Some people can go years without ever having to deal with it again. They go to counseling, things are great, and then all of a sudden it's back. It's just a part of you once you start to have issues or deal with it. And some people can go without ever having issues again, but it doesn't happen like that for everyone. But and some people say that if you have faith in God and religion, then you won't have depression. And I necessarily don't agree with that, because I definitely believe in Jesus. I talk to him often, and I talk to God often, but I still deal with it. Do I leave a lot of things in their hands to take care of for me? Yes, I do. However, there are just certain things that they can't relieve me of. There's certain things in my life that I have dealt with, and certain traumas that no matter how much I pray about it, no matter how much I read the Bible, that those things can't be, lifted off my shoulders or relieved of my spirit. It's still going to be there. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. However, I've noticed in the last 2 years that I've been vocal with my depression, and that I've talked to people about it and done videos like this to try and speak out about it. I've noticed that I've touched people, and more people feel comfortable talking to me about their depression, which kind of leads me to believe that this may be what God had for me. What he had planned for me was to help other people deal with their issues with depression and PTSD. So maybe that'll be, where I go next in life. But right now, while I'm still serving, I feel like this is a majority of the people I come across that deal with this. And we've seen numbers lately for active duty that most of the people that we're seeing dealing with depression that are committing suicide are ages between 18 and 25. And so what could be, the driving factor for this? A lot of it could be being homesick, learning how to be an adult on their own now, and how to, take care of bills and take on life by themselves without a parent, having to make new friends and new environments, and not having family. And some, people have a hard time making friends. So a lot of this could be driving factors for why we're seeing a lot of the younger people commit suicide. Not used to military life. This may not be what they thought it was going to be. There's a lot of different driving factors that could cause a lot of these younger folks to be depressed and to think suicide is the best option. We've seen the numbers spike drastically, at least on the Air Force side lately. But what is it? What is causing it? What is it that's in their life that's making them think this is the only option that they have? So I'm going to be transparent, right? So being someone that has PTSD and that has dealt with depression for a long time, have I ever thought that life for my family or my loved ones could be better off if I wasn't here? I'm sure. Yes, I've thought that. Would I ever take my own life? Absolutely not. Why? So I'm going to tell you a story, and this is why I would never personally do it. My teammate that was in Iraq with me that I was close to. When we got back, his mom and he wound up dying while we were in Iraq. When we got back, his mom had a really hard time dealing with his loss. It was really hard for her to cope with him not being here. She had 2 other children besides him, but she just couldn't handle it that she had to go on without one of her children. She reached out to me, and she reached out to another girl that I'm still close with prior to her taking her own life. She was not able to talk to either of us before she did it, but she took her life. And one of her children and her husband, saw her this way. So now you have, and I know that she reached out to me, and my friend knows she reached out to her. So now you have affected at least your spouse, your 3 other children, and 2 other people with your suicide. You've affected all of your other family and any friends that knew you with your suicide. Your suicide, for some people, could be looked at as you being selfish, like you took the easy way out. For people who deal with it and know what that struggle is like, you feel like you were easing a burden from everyone else. You felt like that the world was better off without you because you were being a burden to other people. But that's not true. But that's how you feel in that moment. In that moment, you feel like, everything I do is not enough. Or once I get out of one bad situation, another bad situation happens. And it's like a constant piling game of things that are happening to you. But at the end, you have to remember that time might suck. What is happening right now in your life may be really bad for you. Excuse me. It could be a really bad time. Like everything is just piling up on you and piling up on you. You feel like you cannot catch a break. Like happiness just does not exist for you. But you have to remember that moment is temporary. That moment is not going to be there forever. It may feel like it at this particular time and moment, but it's not there forever. That moment is going to pass. And let me tell you, things always happen. You know the saying, when it rains, it pours. Man, if you can't tell me that ain't true, I can sit here and tell you about 10 stories of things that have happened to me in the last month. And you be like, damn, that's a lot for one person to deal with. And it is. And I swear I could tell you, I be in here days like, whoo, I don't know how I do it. I don't know how I continue to get up every day. But I have to remember it's not just about me. There are other people that depend on me, that need me, that if I'm not here, they can't go on. So you may think that you're a burden, or you may think that times are hard and that it's just too much for you to handle. But if you're not here today, there is somebody somewhere who is now less of a person without you being here. So what does that mean? That means either your mom or your dad or your siblings, a girlfriend, a spouse, whatever, is now less of a person because they have to live life without you. And I know to you that may seem like, oh, it's not that. They'll keep moving on. Life will go on without me. Life will go on without you in certain extents, maybe in your job, where you work at, but those people emotionally ain't gonna feel the same if you're not here. And if you ever feel like, life is too much and you can't do it, there's always people you can reach out to. Whether you want to call one of the suicide prevention lines, whether you want to reach out to a preacher or a chaplain. If you don't feel like you want to go talk to a mental health provider or a psychiatrist, if you don't want to do those things, there's other people that are willing to listen to you. Believe me, there are. And this ain't just for people that are military. This is for civilians too. There are plenty of people that I talk to on a regular basis who are not military, who we have these similar conversations. But it just seems to be that we're seeing this happen more and more daily. And it's not even just military. Like, let's look at how many celebrities we've seen commit suicide in the last 3 years. It's been a lot. We just had one this week. Christoph St. John from The Young and the Restless. Probably one of my favorite characters on that show. But with the loss of his son and his son committing suicide not too long ago, it was too much for him to bear. He couldn't handle it. And it's sad. It's sad when you see people who feel like there's nothing left for them and they have nothing else to hold on to and they give up. But I'm telling you, there's more out there for you to hold on for. Because you go through hard times to prepare you for the good times. And so, whatever it is right now that you're going through that may seem like it's tough or it's hard work and you can't do it and you want to give up, this is all in preparation for something bigger and better than what you could possibly think of. You are being prepared for a gift that you don't even realize you're about to receive. So why give up? Why? There's no reason to. There's something that's coming that you don't even realize is coming for you. And it may not even be, and I heard a young man say this week. I want to say it was this week. That you're being prepared for a gift. And your gift that you're being given is not for you. It's for you to give back to the universe. Man, when he said that, I got chills. I was like, man. So all this time when I talk to God and when I talk to him, and I'm not trying to be super religious in this. I'm not. But when I talk to God and I say to him, why am I here? What is my purpose? What do you have for me that you keep me here? And I say that because there were plenty of times in Iraq when I shouldn't have came home. When my whole team shouldn't have came home, right? We lost one. of my teammates, we lost 6 total, right? In 6 months, we lost 6 people total. That's a lot of people to lose in 6 months. But every day I was like, why me? Why did I get to come home? What is so special about me that I got to return home and my friends didn't? That's a lot for someone to carry on their shoulders, you know? And so it was hard when I first came back. It was real hard. Because I couldn't understand, you know, why I was so special. Why I got to come home and they didn't. Why I was put in situations that I should not have walked away from, but I did. And I got to come home. But Keith and Elizabeth and Dan and Tim and Captain Evans and Brad, they didn't get to come home. Why was I so special? And so that still lingers with me today. Like, I still talk to him about that. And I was like, obviously, whatever this miraculous plan you got for me is important. So I need to know what that plan is. Can you tell me what that plan is? Obviously, he can't tell me that. That's not me. That's not for me to know. But I know whatever it is obviously something important. It's special. So when that young man said that whatever gift that I'm waiting on that's coming is not for me, it's for me to give the world, couldn't have said nothing better, man. And if you know, and let me say this. The people who struggle the most with depression and thoughts of suicide and PTSD and all these things are usually your strongest people. So look around the people around you. Whoever you think are those strongest people in your group probably are dealing with similar issues and you don't even know it. Because the strongest warriors carry the biggest burdens. And that's just real talk. So take a look around your circle. Look and see who smiles the most, who seems the most happy, loving. Those are the ones that struggle the hardest. You may not even realize it, but they are struggling. So if you think that person is so strong and there's no way they could be dealing with this and there's no way they could be dealing with something like that, talk to them, because you never know. Just check in on them. I have a habit lately of just randomly messaging people, whether that's on Communicator at work, emailing, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, don't matter. I will text, phone call, randomly reaching out to people just to check in. How you doing? How's your day? And it's because you never know what somebody's going through. And by you just reaching out to them for that one moment, you may have just turned their day around and they not even realize that they were cared about or needed until that moment. So I know for me, like, I'm one of those people who I don't like to make new friends, mainly because I don't like talking to people I don't know. I could do it like this. I could do it via social media, but in real life, I don't like starting conversations with people I don't know. I'm very standoffish until I get to know you. But then once I get to know you, I talk a lot, if y'all can't tell. But I will spend a lot of time like staying to myself. Like, since we've been here a little over a year, I can name how many people I'm close with on one hand. And most of the people I'm close with here are from other assignments. It's not because I met them here. The ones that I did meet here that I became close with all either just left or, I don't get to see them that often, whatever. But I And I think, you know, I try not to make new friends or kick it with people because I don't like, number one, saying goodbye to people. And I don't like being hurt, right? And so if you get to know somebody and you become close with them and then you got to say bye, that sucks. But then if something happens to them or they leave or something, like, it's just too much for me to deal with. So I stay dolo. But then the problem with that is then I have more time to think, which puts me back in a depression zone, because I have too much time to myself to think and not being overwhelmed and busy doing other things. So this is part of the reason why I stay so involved with doing other things, like being involved with the community, with Girl Scouts, with my daughter, professional organizations through the military, school. Like, this is why I always have stuff going on. And then my husband's like, oh, you don't ever want to do nothing because on the weekends I'm tired from doing all this crap during the week that I just want to sit on my couch and be on my phone and watch TV. But that allows you to get to a depression state because now you're not spending time with people, you're not having fun, you're not enjoying it, you're not having friends. So I think that's why it's been easy for me to get so depressed here, is because I haven't had that, you know, connection and friendship with people to be able to do other things. And so maybe, you know, that could be a lot of the issues we're seeing with these young folks that are committing suicide, because maybe they don't have what they consider an Air Force family, you know, or friends that they feel like they can confide in and do things with and be around. And so when they're going through hard times, they feel like they're doing it alone. So we just need to start being more involved. And I can tell you right now, I try to talk to my guys as often as possible, just to know what's going on in their life outside of work. I know I could do it a lot more, just to know, like, to make sure they're okay, make sure there's no, you know, stressors going on outside of the building. And a lot of times, you know, when you do feedback and stuff, they're not going to tell you the 100% truth. Oh, no, there's no stressors going on in my life. And if there are, there's nothing that the unit can help me with. But you still got to ask the question, are you sure? You sure you don't need to talk about something? Like, let them know that they can come talk to you, like you're there for them. Because you may be that one person that they're willing to sit down and chop it up with and tell what's going on in their life. And if something is to the point of their depression levels being too high and them, you know, having suicidal thoughts, they may feel comfortable telling you. So it is what it is. But I didn't want to take up too much time, but I did want to have a conversation about this because I feel it's very important. I feel like the conversation needs to happen a lot more. And, you know, like I said, we do have these conversations a lot now, but I think we're having it from a different perspective. We're talking about it from a preventive side, not talking to folks that may already be dealing with depression, even though we are, but we're telling people how to look out for signs of those dealing with depression and who may be suicidal, but trying to get those that are dealing with it to come out and talk to us and feeling comfortable. And maybe it's just going to take people who deal with it, you know, ourselves, to go around and start talking to people, them seeing it from somebody else other than them, and hearing stories from other people who deal with it that may make them more comfortable to go seek help. Because I can tell you, I put off seeking help for my PTSD and depression for a very long time before I went to talk to somebody. And it took other people realizing that I was battling with it and making it obvious to me that they were aware before I went to go talk to somebody. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, but we got to figure it out because we're losing too many people to depression. And depression is a real live disease. And, you know, some people will say it's not, but unless you've dealt with it yourself, you will never understand. And it's not something you could just turn on a switch and then it's gone. Like, that's not how it works. It's not something I could just sit down and read a book and I'm healed. No. It takes time, and it takes time of working on it and seeking help. And even if you get help and talk to somebody, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go away. It means it may go away for that period in time, but it has a possibility of coming back. So you have to be willing to keep working at it and keep seeking help, and not just thinking the only answer is suicide, because suicide should never be your first choice. Suicide should never be your second option. It shouldn't be an option at all, because there are people that are depending on you and that need you to be here tomorrow. So if you ever feel like you can't do this anymore and you want to give up, if you're watching this video, or if you see this video and you ever feel like you want to give up and you can't do it anymore, hit me up. And I'll call you. It don't matter what time it is. It don't matter where in the world you are. I will get on the phone and talk to you. We could talk it out. But don't ever feel like giving up is an option, because we need you here tomorrow. All right. Love, peace, crawfish. I'm out.